Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the warm welcome, and thank you, Dhruv, as well for calling me up. As you said, ma'am, Kritika already has high praises for Jai Hind College, and she told me that I should definitely attend this. As it is a post-lunch session, I'll surely try to not keep it boring. You can, of course, keep your videos off, lie down in your bed, and watch it comfortably. I'll use a PPT just so that it aids whatever I'm presenting. Just give me a second. I hope my screen is visible. Dhruv, can you let me know?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Great, great. So before moving on, I believe there would be a lot many other sessions lined up or would have already happened. What's our role here? I'll just make you understand so that you can set the expectations right. There are many startups entrepreneurs who will come and tell you about how the nitty gritties of the inside of the working actually is in a startup, how to start about what you can do once you have reached some amount of growth and all. But it's also very important what's there in the enabler sector, right? Just when you're small, you'll start learning to walk. Of course, you have the legs, you have the power, but you of course need your parents, right? Similarly, when we are there as a startup in the ecosystem, it's like a very young company, and we need government or mentors or incubators to help us out. So Startup India, in a very layman's language, is that parent that will try to help you as much as possible. Of course, it is a government initiative, and I'll detail about that later. So a bit about Startup India. It was launched in 2016. Many of you would know that. And what guides us is these three pillars of action: simplification and handholding, funding support, and industry academia partnership. So these are the three pillars that are guiding us. Under these three pillars, we have a total of 19 action points. That's there in the action plan. You can see it on the left side of the screen. You can Google it up and see what's there in the detailed manner. So basically, this tries to cover different aspects of what entrepreneurship ecosystem should have and what a government should be supporting. It can be very much related to the biotech incubators or what reforms should be there, laws, or what incentives should be there for startups. It's a quite detailed document and a guiding document for the entire Startup India initiative. Before moving on to why Startup India initiative is at all needed, what we do and all, let's just see a bit of the story from a bird eye point of view as to how startup ecosystem in our country is growing. Of course, 10 years back, you used to buy, you would see your father, mothers buying medicine from the fragmented pharmacy stores, right? And if they don't have it, well, you will have to travel another kilometer or two to get it. The same story was there for local food joints. You never knew if they're open or not. You'll have to drive it till there and then see if it's crowded or not. Our economy was mostly cash run. We all know that on street taxi hailing, a big headache. You would had to actually call up someone way 4 5 hours back, and if you are in tier 2 or 3 cities, you had to ensure that you get the cabs at least one day before you have to travel, even for an hour. And offline learning was there much in practice before. Holiday packages, again, a very hectic thing for us. This was all in 2010. Coming fast forward to 2020 now, or even say 2018 or 2016, consumer behavior has changed a lot. Now we can easily order all the medicines from Pharmacy or 1mg and other similar startups. There is of course Zomato and Swiggy. You don't even think of going down to the restaurant. You can just order it and avail great discounts. You don't have to ever worry about whether you'll get a taxi or not. The Ola and Uber are all there. Similarly, Byju's or let's say Vedantu, they are there for their offline learning, online learning, and it has really boomed. Actually, the actual stats are it has grown by 500% pre and post Corona stats if you see. Similarly, holiday packages, it is very easy. I believe many of you young kids here won't even know how packages were booked 10 years back. You had to go to a travel agent, negotiate with them, and it was a very hectic thing. Also, our economy is mostly run by many online types of payment. And the great thing is that this entire revolution was brought by startups such as Paytm or Bharat Pay or Google Pay. Google Pay is, of course, not a startup, but otherwise as well. You see, the entire consumer behavior is being shifted alone by startups, and this has happened in the last 5 years. Like you and I, all of us remember this happening. Sorry, and we remember all the details. So you understand what's the power that startups have. Of course, they tell they're a young company, maybe they won't succeed, maybe they don't have the experience. But what separates startups from others is innovation and uniqueness of finding first the problem, unique problems, and then finding even more unique solutions to the same. Now, just a bit of how every 12 hours goes in our country. Let's see. In every 3 hours, Indian startup would have already raised $87K in seed stage. As 6 hours are gone, women entrepreneurs would have already raised $775K. 9 hours gone, metro cities already have $11.3 million. And as we are halfway through the day, we have Indian ecosystem has already did $17.4 million. And by day, I actually mean every day. So this is happening every 12 hours in our country. So you see, this is funding is not really a problem as much as told to be, and I'll tell you why later. Now let's see what are the major sectors, in which this investment occurs. Of course, I never recommend someone to go by sector. Rather, I say first try to find the problem and then find the solution to it. Don't get stuck into a sector and that I want to work in this sector and hence I'll then find a problem. But anyway, let's see what's the prominent sector that have been. If 2,000 rupees were invested in top 8 sectors, this would be the breakup. Fintech received the maximum. That's quite obvious since Paytm and all have driving the entire fintech industry since last 5 years. EdTech has seen a lot of growth at least in last 1 year. Similarly, health tech and other startups are there as well. And this actually includes foreign funding as well, or in India. Now coming to the entire macro point of view here, startup ecosystem in our country, it's the third largest startup ecosystem by number, and 45% of them are located actually tier 2 and 3 cities. So it's good to know that it's not the privilege that something only tier 1 cities enjoy, but startups are also there in tier 2 and 3 cities and are quite successful. Average age of founders is around 31 years. So we have a lot of time to start up. Even I have a lot of time to start up if I want to. Each startup is generating around 12 jobs for the country since 2016. So that's a lot of number. I think it has already almost gone to 4.5 lakhs now, total number, cumulative numbers. India already has 40,000 startups. As I speak, I recently saw the numbers this morning. I think it was around 41,900. So you see how what's the pace of growth of startups here. And 30 state startup policies are there. So what's there is that central has a particular policy that is implementable on the entire country, but state also come up with their policy, and those are above central policies to help the startups and contain some more incentives for the startups. So all that done, what is a startup according to the government? I mean, it's of course unique, innovative, that's all there. But in the end, you have to define it, parameterize it. How will you do it? So these are the four parameters that we use to check what actually is a startup. So the entity must be a private limited company and an LLP company or a registered partnership. Okay, we get a lot of doubts. Why not proprietorship? Learn about the cons of proprietorship. Okay, this is not something I'll go into, but learn what are the drawbacks of having a proprietorship company, and then you will see you will face problem both in saving your assets and raising money later when you are starting up. So that's an issue with that. Other forms of companies are allowed to be a startup as per the Government of India notification on 19th February 2019. The age of the startup can be 10 years. So if I have incorporated my company, let's say in 2018 till 2028, I'll be eligible to be called a startup. Okay. And the turnover must not have crossed INR 100 crore. This is again there to support the companies which actually need support. Okay. Companies like Zomato or Flipkart, they have already crossed this milestone. They maybe not need as much support as the smaller companies that are still growing. So government has actually focused its efforts to these companies, and hence this parameter exists. And the last one is pretty much natural to every startup. It is innovative or creating jobs and all. So if you think your startup is a private or let's say any of these mentioned entity, the age is less than 10 years or turnover less than 100 crore in any fiscal year, you can go ahead and start for apply for the Startup India application. Okay, registration. and that happens in a very simplified format. You just have to fill a form on the Startup India website, which takes 15 to 20 minutes. You just have to detail out what you are doing, what the founders' contact details are, how do you plan to generate your revenue and all. And then again, you can go and we'll evaluate it in 24 to 48 hours, and there you go. You have your startup, which is actually recognized by the government. So what's the actually benefit of being recognized by the government? It actually means that now you're eligible to get any of the benefits that the government gives to startups in India. Okay, right? Like you know about many other schemes, right? If you are registered as a small farmer, you get the benefits of PM Kisan Yojana, right? So just like this, and if you are registered as a startup with Government of India, you'll get any benefits that's there for the startups given by the government under the Startup India scheme. So let's talk about what this support and incentives really are. So comparison is one of the best ways to just figure out what has improved. In 2015, okay, government procurement, I'll talk about this, why it's important. Government procurement actually, you will be amazed to know that the amount that the government procures in a year is much more than what Amazon or Flipkart sell combined in the same time. Okay, so you see that actually the largest procurer is government. So if you have government as one of your clients, if your startup is like B2G startups, business to government startups, so of course you'll have a great advantage there. So, but the problem is that government demand that you should have some experience in that sector before selling it to him, okay? Because government is generally risk averse. And in 2014, startups could do nothing because they maybe hadn't completed those number of experience or they didn't have that amount of turnover. But since 2018, startups, that is again government recognized startups, can go and avail this government procurement and they are exempted from any of these requirements. Okay. So even if you don't have that amount of turnover, no problem. Come and participate in the bid. And if you win it, you will get the procurement order. Similarly, patent granted. Again, the startup is innovative. You may develop some patents. You would want to protect your company, right? Protect whatever you have developed so that no one copies it. But back in 2014, it was a lot of time consuming process. I think the average time to get a patent that time was 6 years. Now it has significantly come down, and I think the fastest patent was granted in 90 days or 80 days to a DPIT recognized startup again. And also you get some of rebate on this. So you have a patent application fee if you are a DPIT recognized startup, that is the Government of India recognized startup. You will get a rebate as well. There are tax benefits. There are different kind of tax benefits. You can avail 3 years tax holiday. So basically, go and grow your business. You won't be taxed for the same. And the compliance regime has also improved because before you had several physical inspections going on, you had to go and sit in the offices of officers and make sure that your it gets done. But now it is self-certified, so you can say yes, I'm following this, and no one will come and check it until unless you violate it and there's a complaint. So you see the process has become more responsible as well as much more faster. Now coming to the most talked about thing, funding in a way, funding, what's there for funding support from the government of India. So government of India has actually allotted 10,000 crore corpus of fund of funds. Now how does this operate? Okay, government says, okay, I have the money, but I don't know how to invest it because I'm not an expert in that sector. So government goes and gives away this money to VCs. They are called alternate investment funds, type 1 actually. There are different types of AIFs under the government. So in type 1 VCs, they give it away 10,000 crore rupees, and then these VCs go and invest in these startups. The entire list of VCs you can actually go and check on the SIDBI page, Small Industry Development Bank of India's page. And 384 startups have so far got the funding from this, and these 384 startups include some big names like Danzo as well. And government had actually told that if I'm giving you, let's say, 1 rupee to a VC, the VC should go and raise another 2 rupees and then invest this 3 rupees in the startup. And the VCs have so far done a great amount of going and actually raising of 7 more rupees and then investing this 8 rupees in the startups. So that is something great happening here. But apart from these, also there are other incentives that are coming up. Like you must have heard about the seed uh, Startup India Seed Investment Scheme that has come up last month. So it is still under development, but it will be out soon. So if your startup is at a very early stage, you can avail the benefits of the same. So as I said before, we have partnership with different state government as well. So let's say if you are a startup in Jharkhand, you can not only go and avail the central government benefits, but you can also avail the incentives present under the Jharkhand government state policy. Okay, and this can be very much uh, ranging from 10, let's say 10 or 15 lakh grant money, or free marketing support, or free incubation or mentorship, and similar other things. So all these detailed policies are there on the Startup India website and the individual state website as well. So you can go and check what are the incentives you can get again. And again, you just need to be registered with Government of India to avail this. So far, actually, 30 states have already have policies. Maximum of them have developed a policy right after Startup India was launched. Something very innovative and one of my favorite offerings of Startup India, I would say. So once your startup starts growing, maybe you'll realize that okay, India is not alone my market. I want to go forward. I want to, open my market at other places as well. So we have international bridges so that you can go and understand of course, you are taken by the team of Startup India members and the government, and you go and understand what's the exact things that are happening there in the market of these countries. How can I leverage these opportunities? What incentives are there if I am an Indian startup? So, and of course, that happens. Their startup come here to understand India as well. So, this is a cross-border engagement that is happening, and startups are openly selected for it via a competition that is hosted again on the Startup India portal. You can check it. Because of the pandemic, we haven't been able to do this uh, in an offline manner in the last 1 year. But before that, there were cohorts taken to Germany or USA or Israel as well to understand their ecosystem. Now, again, we also provide a lot of corporate support to the startups because, as a small startup, maybe you would want to engage with these corporates. These corporate maybe want to take you up for a small term project or want to understand what the innovation they have and in-house they can provide you incubation. So again, we have connects with them and they openly host competitions on our website. So that's there. You can come and check out that. And these corporates, I don't only mean the private sector, but also the public sector, like Bharat Petroleum and others as well. And coming back to actually again the government part, the government is a very important entity for any startup if you have that type of product. Okay, let's say if I have developed a board which can with an automatic board which can help in flood during flood times. So actually, government is my only customer. I'll have to sell it to them. And if you crack the deal, you are good to go because government is a uh, big buyer here and actually uses a lot of public fund to regularly buy different things for the public services. So these are few of the engagement that we have actually with different government departments, and some competitions were conducted as well. So the good thing here is that government entities generally provide pilot projects sometimes to these startups to see how they are functioning, what's the uniqueness, what's the real offering and relevance that's there. National Startup Awards, last year it was conducted, and it does not just involve grant money, but other things as well. Because when you're growing a startup, you realize that money is not the only thing you want. You also want connects. You also want that someone should showcase your product, and you should get that marketing reach. There also should be mentorship for you. So these are different offerings that are there for National Startup Award winners. This year, Startup Awards have already closed on 15th Feb. So we are already evaluating applications. We received, I think, around 2,200 applications from different startups across the country in different sectors. These are some of the success stories of our previous winners. Skyroot Aerospace has been doing a great job and was congratulated by our honorable PM as well. Scapping Innovations has actually been acquired by Flipkart now. So these startups actually have gone through a rigorous process and now are doing great in their respective fields. So this is the first National Startup Award that was there in 2020, and now 2021 awards have been launched as well. Right? Not going into details here is the same very thing. So you see, in the nutshell, its government is there to support you via the Startup India scheme, right? Of course, you'll get the mentorship, you'll get the understanding as you work on and grow your startup, but you of course need to have an enabler sector around it. So that is what we are here to provide you with. And you can always reach out to us if you have any issue, right? Small issue like the page is not loading on the Startup India website, or how do I find mentors, or how do I get funding support, or I want to start a food tech startup, how do I go about it? So you can always connect with us through any of these channels. Prefer call and email, but Facebook and Twitter channel is there as well. So that's pretty much from my side, and thank you all for coming here, and I wish you all the best in all your endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We are delighted to have you on board, and thank you for the constant support that Startup India has always given to ESL and Skill Hub in terms of a lot of benefits and providing valuable sessions like this one for all the startups that are attending. And that's about it, sir. Thank you so much once again, and
Thank you
looking
to
forward to connecting with you. And if any startups have any inquiries, they can definitely connect with you, right?
right, right, always.
Okay,
Thank you,
sir.
Dhruv.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Guys, the feedback form of the session